So in this video, I'll share a technique you could use to align your life with your values. The key realization was from seeking a job that was, which I felt was right for me. My first job was my first actual job was in corporate tech in Hewlett Packard, and you could imagine, the usual, tech corporate tech office. Um, you know, I was paid well. It was prestigious. I liked my colleagues. I also liked my work. And then, it's like we were able to travel internationally. I got to travel to Turkey, to Israel, to the US for projects. It was fun. But after a steep learning period, it just became boring. And at some point, it became sort of meaningless. So, I thought like, this couldn't be my whole life, working in this environment. Um, so I decided to look for another job, and it turned out that I had some friends in a university that were looking for someone to help them raise funds for scholarships. So I thought, okay, something totally different. Let's try it out. So I did that, and yeah, it was very meaningful. We were helping students get into the university. Some of them, it was their first, they were the first in their families to go to college. So there was a lot of impact there, and we saw it in people. But I just didn't like the work. Like as in the way you like your favorite dish or your favorite show. It's just different when it's like, I guess I just wasn't meant for that kind of work. So those two experiences made me realize that there are really two parts of you which you have to satisfy in terms of work, in terms of what you do in life, outside of work. And the ancients call this the stallion and the rider. That this one part, this is emotional, reactive, also powerful part, and which is not rational. It's just pure emotion. And the other one is this part which is rational, which seeks meaning and purpose. So you have to satisfy both of them, both the rider and the stallion, and your values are the ones which resonate with both. And for me, after all those experiences, I now know that my values are freedom, growth, and adventure. These three satisfy both my stallion and my rider. When I say these words, there's like electricity. It's like I feel them. I feel the power of freedom, growth, and adventure. These words, and also it makes total sense for me. If I look at my life's mission, it requires that I have these. And I could also see it in the results. And I'm much happier now compared to when I was working in corporate tech, when I was working in the university. In fact, my problem now is that I need to cap the time I spend working, because I have other obligations, family, friends, church, community, all these things. So um, the question is now, based on that experience, how could we, what's the technique? What's the process for aligning your life to your values? So I have this concept of trading with values. So the point here is that if you want to achieve a life aligned to your values, that's not free. So you have to pay for it also with values. So let's go back to like those three things: freedom, growth, and adventure. The question is, in order to get these three, what will I trade? What will I give up? So there are other values out there. So there are some values which are very easy to trade because they're clearly incompatible with my three values. For instance, comfort is incompatible with growth, and certainty of the future is incompatible with adventure. And also there are like values which are not tradable, of course, like family. But what about security? What about status? What about wealth? What about success? What about having an orderly, peaceful existence? So these things are valuable. But am I willing to trade these for freedom, growth, and venture? Yes, I do. I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to not have security. I'm willing to be low status, na maybe lessen wealth and not be perceived to be successful, and to have disorder in my life, to have chaos, because I'm willing to give up all of these so that I could get freedom, growth, and adventure. So how do we make this concrete? So how do we actually apply this? So it's really, to me, it's all about the choices you make, the choice you make in terms of how you spend time and money. That is basically how you spend your life, how you spend your time and your money. So my question to myself is, am I spending time and money that increases my freedom, increases my growth, and increases my adventure? So, or am I spending time and money directed by fears and desires that are not aligned to these values? So, let's take ODPS for example, because we spend time and money for this fellowship. But since freedom, growth, and adventure are my top values, ODPS makes so much sense because my freedom increases the better I am at entrepreneurship. My work of entrepreneurship. And one key skill in entrepreneurship is persuasion, and we are trained in persuasion here. And also, like just this is growth. Doing this. You know, well, as we speak, I am growing. Yeah, and we are growing. And this course itself is an adventure. And even after it, it will be an adventure because I'm committing to doing something a bit scary. 100 videos applying what I learned from this course. So that's also, I guess, um, that's the conclusion of those the my what you call this my adventure through different kinds of work. So I eventually started my own business, and with this, I could design precisely my work to fit these three values. In fact, these values came about from a business planning practice. We created there's this technique called one page strategic plan, and there's like question their values and order and freedom, growth and adventure. It turns out that's actually I was just expressing my top values. So now maybe to make this more, I guess, to have a concrete output from this conversation is I'm inviting you to an adventure as well. And this might be a bit scary. And that is to take a look at maybe your credit card bill, and then take a look at your calendar to see and to ask yourself whether the money you're spending and the time you're spending is aligned to your values. And then after that is to ask, what will you trade to align those values with your life?